Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Adventures of Attitude. We finally have the finale of Season 2. Hurrah! I want to thank everyone for waiting with us as we've been releasing other stuff just so we can get time to get this prepared. We just had a lot of things happen at the last recording for the finale, and so we had to finish the last parts with Marcel and Eric on their own, which is part of why it took so long, along with just, as people might have noticed in our Twitter, I've been dealing with a lot of work-related stuff where my work is trying to get more people in, so I've been doing a lot of overtime. The good news is we will have episode 3 of We're Not in Kansas Anymore on Friday, followed by Enamon by Crest on next Wednesday, followed by another We're Not in Kansas Anymore, and then we're hoping to figure out by next Wednesday what the next arc is going to be, because we have a lot to pick from. We hope you enjoy this episode, and by the way, if you haven't already, you need to check out Free Action Cry, Role Players, the Fun Installer Network, and a whole bunch of other people out there. We've had so many people joining the server and recording one-shots that we hope you all enjoy. And now, on to the show.
That's right, Poppers. It's time to go.
Adventurers with attitude. Now don't forget, or we will feud. Marcus the Bessie, Yuzi, Gabby, and Obsidian. He's not too shabby. A newfound friend, a former aggressor, trying to take down the evil Bone Meister. Will they ever win? Hodgepodge henshin. Kick a sword and a good sub-dragon kin. This show's got it all. Tune in every week. You might just find what it is you seek.
And then he pauses. Wait a minute. Are you saying that I am just an NPC in a video game?
Iris kind of like, oh, okay, you're on the right track for what we're trying to tell you. You know how in those games there's always that one person who just doesn't care.
Yeah, we call them assholes. The more polite version is the term troll. No offense to any trolls out there, but you know.
I think that sparks a memory of something, Marcus.
Oh, good.
Roll me another history check, but I think this one with advantage because they're putting us in video game
terms?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do I do advantage, or do I just roll 2d6?
Let's roll 2d6.
Not 2d6, 2d20. So 19. I rolled a 14 and a 5 on the d20s. Well, you can say.
Marcus, as you say a troll, something clicks in your head because you have a thought, and because you know the lore of the Ladies' Fair,
right? How
they were humans that ascended to God, facing
right
a invader, and it clicks. You never quite got it at the time because it just sounded like it was like a mystical name, but you've heard that phrase before in your MMEs.
Invader or Ladies' Fair?
No, the threat to the world in the beginning was the being known as the Griefer.
Yeah, at that, Marcus is just going to put his hands in his face and just let out a low, irritated groan. Are you telling me that the Griefer from the ancient texts was nothing more than ye old Griefer?
Yes. He was like us, the avatars of the great old ones that after a mistake, which I'm sure you're familiar with Rothgard and what it's built around. I think at that you remember, yeah, it's built around like what people only assume was a giant dragon. Maybe something. It's just a giant ass skeleton big enough to hold a metropolis within it.
Which is, mind-boggling enough. So, please tell me that thing is actually just a gigantic dragon.
No, after they made this world, one of them tried to enter it directly. It wasn't.
I've read enough stories to know that never ends well.
It wasn't compatible, but you found a way around it.
Oh.
Now, if you want to, you can do a history check to see if that makes it, that if you connect any more dots. I will give you that option.
I mean, sure. I'll take the rolls where I can get them. Just 1d20?
Yep.
So that's another 12.
You can't think of the name, but he sort of tracks because you know that the Drow have a god that just referred to as a ghost, but you don't know much more than that.
Like, oh.
And considering that's where the Drow city is.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so this has to do with the ghost. And that's what Marcus says. It's like, okay, this has to do with the ghost. Marcus is also thinking, I'm going to need a drink after this.
I think as Duana, or not Duana, the Tiefling, pretty sure me right out that name because he hasn't figured out that the Tiefling nods.
Okay, so it is a male?
No, it's a female. They're both female. It's a ladies.
Okay.
The Tiefling, she nods and says, the beings that created this world, they made it so they could interact. We are what they figured out. Our times as adventurers were when we were connected to them. But then the Griefer came in. He wanted to consume the world. He did not understand the interactions we and our creators had formed that we would want to interact with, quote unquote. And I apologize for the term. This is his terminology. We don't see ourselves this way, but lesser beings.
I mean, cosmologically, you're probably accurate.
And our creators had to make a choice. They had to choose their enjoyment, or, she smiles slightly, or that the survival of their creation, their children of sort. This whole world is their creation, their child. They're, in a way, the plane is, you could consider it a child of these gods, of their creativity, of what the things they observed in other planes that they had only had limited access to through books and other means, one of which you've met.
Bone Meister.
Iris shakes her head. No. This one you did good. This one we're proud of you. We're proud of you and your friend, how you allowed her to evolve.
Gabby.
Bag of devouring. Ingress. Person of devouring. She is like us, but not sort of like. It's hard to explain, but yes, she is. That's where it all goes. It's how our creators learned of these other worlds, things that were eaten by the ingress and the bags of devouring. They learned of other worlds. They wanted to make their own.
Because they found out where those things went, found out that there were other planes of existence, and went, oh hey, let's make one of our own.
She nods. And when push came to shove, they did what any parent did.
They protected their creation, their children.
Not when we...
Well, what any good parent would do, but I digress.
When we ascended, it was because they had to cut it off. They had to cut him off. But here's the thing: even if you cut off a world from the god, if even a small sliver of a god is, well, but a god. the other one says. Or goddess.
I mean, a rose petal is still a rose petal, so it makes sense that a sliver of a god is still a god.
And the other one wasn't, the griefer wasn't as advanced as us. They were but a child of their own in the sense of their own consciousness, and well, we decided to do a little experiment. We wanted to see if he could learn to love this place as we did. So the consciousness was implanted in a human soul.
Okay. So the griefer was now reborn as a human. I am assuming they didn't have their godly memories?
And not yet. Not yet. They traveled the land. They took up an instrument. But we made one mistake, Marcus. We didn't dispose of the body.
And the body decided to have fun, I'm guessing.
I wish it was that simple.
Because why wouldn't it be?
Oh, no. Well, Bowmeister is something a little bit worse, because we didn't dispose of the body, and, well, as we said, a fraction of a god is still a god. And some idiot necromancer just was stupid enough to try.
Again, Marcus just kind of buries his face in his hands. That's like trying to hotwire a semi-truck without knowing how to drive the thing. Please tell me this idiot was smoked. Because if he wasn't, I'll happily do it.
They both kind of look at each other for a moment, and you get like a look like they're like kind of. I think you actually see them kind of do rock paper scissors against each other to see who tells you.
Jesus Christ! Oh wow! It would be at this point, Marcus just kind of gives an aside to the camera, and all I can imagine is that one scene where, in Robin Hood Men in Tights, they're training the villagers, and Robin Hood just looks at the camera and goes, huh, and looks back.
And it looks like Beer swims with a paper over a rock, and he goes, well, that's the funny thing.
Marcus has a completely deadpan look on his face.
You're probably going to have to kill him anyway, because he works for Bowmeister now.
Oh, goody. A holiday bonus.
And this, I don't think you need a real roll on this, Marcus, because I think this brings back a very recent memory, and you flash back to your mother telling you about how they found your changeling friend.
My changeling friend is the necromancer. Is that what you're telling me, Sean?
No, because she said he was being she told you she was being possessed.
Oh, thank God.
By one of Bowmeister's generals.
Aha! That would be the necromancer.
Yep.
Which complicates matters because Marcus wants to kick him in the ethereal ass, but wouldn't want to destroy his friend. And both goddesses can see Marcus's eyebrow twitch a little bit as he, connects the dots and then colors in the page.
I think as they watch, it goes, if it makes you feel better, the griefer soul is on your side. You know him by another name.
The DM.
She nods with a smirk.
Of course. The Bard is the griefer. Why did I not see that one coming?
And then he thinks they nod and goes, so we come to you, Marcus, to point you in the direction. As you've probably been told by your friends, you need our artifact to finally deal with Bowmeister. And so we must ask you, do you seek justice, or are you motivated to bring an end to this stagnation?
I think he's going to stand there and think about it for a minute. Truth told, in this case, it's both. Bowmeister has done horrible things and needs to be stopped. By bringing him to justice, I am also putting an end to stagnation. Because something like him, by the rules of death, rebirth, and that cycle, should not exist. There's a difference between something like those who can't get rest for whatever reason, and Bonemeister, who was brought back. At least I like to think there's a difference. I may be, in fact, splitting hairs.
I would say you're accurate. Accurate. From what we've observed, Bonemeister tried to find something to care about on this plane, but he couldn't. Not even making a child gave him a connection to this plane.
There's a long, awkward pause as they can see the gears grinding to a halt as Marcus shudders and goes, "He had a child?" Ah.
Iris says, "Of sorts. Not like he didn't make it the conventional way. It's a long story, and
not one I really want to delve into. Certainly not now, maybe not ever.
Well, you'll meet her. Probably meet her eventually.
Because I do not need to picture that skeleton-ass getting his busy on. Ugh. And he just shudders.
Well, then, we should give you our hints before we finish this call. The tiefling says with a smile.
By your leave.
I apologize. I should have given my name in the beginning. Duana, tiefling goddess of governance, and she bows slightly.
Marcus bows back. I didn't want to ask because that seems presumptuous, and I didn't feel like being smote today.
I like this one, Beerus. I see why you said we should both approach him. Iris just smirks. So, well, I felt you get a little chuckle between all your other business, but yeah, you're already on the path, in a sense, to where you can find my tool, Marcus. The Necromesh Fest is buried in the land of the dead, in the castle where undead bear no prejudice.
Marcus nods.
Yet sometimes strain with their vanity.
The castle where my mother is.
Do not. You will need to convince the lord of the castle that you are worthy of the Necromesh Fest. He is a lover of enjoyable combat, so there is that.
Oh, good. If I prove myself a worthy foe, perhaps he can deign to give me the weapon of the gods. Yeah, no, that should be an easy task. Marcus just kind of, again, pinches the bridge of his nose and kind of rolls his eyes.
Luana nods. Well, I mean, you're improving, so there is that. Mine is a little more tricky.
Good. Because
it has been, she rubs the back of her head. It has been already stolen, so.
Well, I mean, we just had to go through a whole hoo-ha for the hammer. I'm not exactly surprised at this point.
You must find the one that the only person in the world that Bonemeister has ever found justice. I'll bet, he says bitterly, accidentally. The thief who is an artist in art in one. She had taken the sword for Bonemeister, but is taking her time bringing it to him.
Sounds like she may want to keep it for herself for some reason, then.
I believe she is keeping it for her own defense. She is one who started life as art. I'll bet skeezy, magically infused art.
See, there's a phrase that pops into my head right now, and I'm going to curse myself for saying the words to two goddesses, but living centerfold?
She nods. She can be, I believe she is currently in the Clockwork City of Detroit. Admittedly,
okay. And Marcus is trying to put a mental map on which directions he has to go. Because if I recall, Detroit and the city of the castle Berenstein, I believe you called it?
No, Castle Bernia.
Bernia, right. Castle Bernia and Detroit are quite the ways away.
They are. They're like I want to say if you were to put them on a map where you already know you have to go next.
Uh-huh.
They're like, I want to say they're like a 30-degree angle from each other heading from there.
Yeesh.
They're both in the southern part of Jesselheim, though.
Yeah, but I still have to make a choice to go to one or the other. I mean, nominally, I'd like to get everything, so Bone Meister doesn't have a chance, but I still need to make a choice on which one I want to go for first. And ultimately, that's going to be the same choice as which goddess I'm going to follow. Although, to be completely honest, it's probably going to be the one for justice.
To be fair, and I think they say they seem to consider this goes, just to be fair, Marcus, you do know your group is going to need at least 7 items, right?
Well, I do now. To be completely honest, I figured we'd end up gathering all of them anyway, because the less Bone Meister has, the better for us. It was just a matter of which one I go to first, which nominally answers the question of which one of you two I choose to follow in this case.
Well, you've already offered to follow both of us. I'll take it. We'll take it. They both say in unison.
Okay, take the third option then. That seems to be the story of my life.
And I think they just kind of smile, and it was good talking to you, Marcus. Do with the information that we give you what you will.
He bows. I will endeavor to do the best.
Well, we'll keep watching. Okay, that sounded weird, but you know what I mean. You know what we mean. We have endeavored to keep this world going as our creators wanted, and I think they would be proud of what we've all become.
We can only hope. We can only hope.
And then the scene fades, and you are standing in front of the hammer holding it.
I think Marcus is just going to sit back down with a very, very tired look on his face. They can see the beginnings of the headache he has. Okay,
so after Marcus sits back and exclaims exuberantly, Ryoko looks to you, Obsidian goes, well, I'm actually a little surprised about that. And she just motions to the hammer. Obsidian, do you pick it up?
If he had eyes, he'd roll them. Oh, actually, he doesn't have eyes, but they have Restless have like a glowing ember, I guess, where their eyes would be.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So those roll, but it's like, fine. No, you guys are gonna take it before grabbing it. He hasn't been fully paying attention, but yeah.
Okay, Obsidian. As you grab it, you are suddenly in a cave. And
tall, dark, moist, rocky. Yeah, this is familiar.
Yeah, but there is a light in the distance. Like you hear the pounding of a hammer. Like it's like a glow. Roll me a perception check.
Ooh, that's a pretty good roll. 1 second while I get those numbers for you.
Okay.
Rolled an 18, and perception is +1, I guess. So 19.
It's definitely the light of the forge, but with that high of a perception, you notice something else. You don't feel right.
What do you mean?
You feel heavier?
That's annoying.
Do you look at yourself? Or try to, I should say?
Well, I have dark vision, so I should be able to look at myself, so.
Yeah, if you look down at your hands, yeah, you don't recognize these hands. You don't recognize these arms. If only all that flesh would get out of the way.
Ew.
Yeah, at the moment, and I think if you were to feel your head, you still have the spike, but other than that, it's weird. In this godly plane, you're not just a skeleton. It's weird. It's like, but yeah, it's just weird because it's, you feel, you can, I think as you're doing this, you can feel a pulse. It's so, but I think, because if I remember correctly, Obsidian doesn't remember being alive, right?
That comes with being a restless. You don't really remember their lives. Like, he has vague flashes at times, but for the most part, he does not know who he was. I mean, who died, whose corpse ended up him. Yeah, there's flashes of that, but yeah.
It's just weird. You can feel you can feel some weird fluid moving around inside. You can feel that similar to that rhythm you felt with the jacket once you put it back on. You can feel a thump in your chest. It's everything is just
Gross.
yeah.
For a skeleton, for someone that's been a skeleton to their knowledge for their entire life, is gross. I mean, can you imagine suddenly being wrapped in meat?
I can. Well, you haven't had that pleasure like some people I know. Oh, that's an R-rated joke right there.
Oh, Lord.
But yeah, does Obsidian continue towards the light?
Yeah, just to try and get this over with because he's already deeply annoyed.
Yeah, I think if you're following along this cave, you see a dwarven woman floating in the air in front of a large anvil. They have wild grayish green hair kind of sticking in all directions as they're hammering into this. It looks like they're forging a weapon. And they're kind of almost a tannish dwarf too. Like they look well tanned with a green cloak that flows all the way to the ground and blue and gray armor with crisscrossing marks and chains bound around the legs that are hanging in the air.
Seemed pretty cool until that last part, and then that the chains seemed to trigger some. This is not as just simple as it seems. Well, it didn't seem simple at all, but add in chains and you have the likelihood of possibly this person not being here of their own free will, and yeah.
Well, they're not chained to the ground. It's just chains around. It's almost like if you see in some fantasy settings, someone has like the chains around the cloth to make sandals.
Oh, okay.
Like the chains are freely hanging. It's just noticeable that they're wrapped. They're not like they're wrapped in certain sections. Like,
all right, that's pretty cool. Thor-like.
Yeah. In fact, she's holding the hammer. I think if you're watching this, you see she is actually using the hammer you picked up.
Sting's gonna sigh, saying this is like, of course it's the goddamn hammer. Told him I didn't want to touch the hammer. Now where the fuck am I?
Ah, Obsidian. You see her, she says as she looks up with a smile. Your friends are nice people, but you, of all your friends and you were the one closest to one of my followers.
You want to look at her a little weird, like, followers?
I
don't know about following anybody.
Oh no! I not to imply that you worship. I am just saying, if anyone is to wield my artifact, I feel it should be someone that follows in the act. It wouldn't make sense to have the hammer be used by some. And I know how that's going to sound considering how you guys found the hammer, but
yeah,
I might want to note the woman you found did have a magical artifact on one hand. She was forcing power out of my artifact. It was not given freely.
That's kind of messed up.
She starts to fall to the ground. Tell me, Obsidian, what do you think of mercy?
It is a grand thing that I had far too little.
What was that last part?
That I had far too little of. Had far too little. Like, she says that in his mind and suddenly goes back to his death metal ranger days. Mercy was not something that they often granted people. And it is, to this day, one of his deepest regrets. Why he keeps throwing himself into dangerous situations.
I agree. This world could use more mercy. People of the land are not rigid statues or grand works. They are people who, while they choose not to, can reforge themselves. Even as this hammer reforges this sword.
I'll tell you what. If you want me to wield the hammer, I'll hold on to it until you can find someone that actually is.
I think she smiles at that. Well, that's actually what I was going to suggest to you. That's why I feel you should have the hammer, Obsidian. You are not. I'm not one
unworthy of it, but if someone has to carry it around.
You may not be worthy of it now, but ironically for a skeleton, you have changed yourself much over the years. You have been reforging yourself. That's all I ask of someone to use this hammer. That they keep moving forward. They keep trying to, if they need to change, if they feel they need to change, they keep changing. They give themselves the mercy to try again later if they fail, and to keep moving forward even after they succeed.
Seems like a good dream.
It is.
Hope I can find someone that fits it. Obsidian really doesn't like himself.
Oh no, I know. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like Emis is trying to phrase it in a way where even if he doesn't understand he's talking about him right now, it's something he may eventually realize in the future.
Yeah.
She's
something he can't see himself at the moment.
Yeah.
He's too stuck in the past. He used a similar metaphor to what she is saying. No matter how, even if you reforge your blade, you cannot change the damage it has done.
Indeed.
That is how his mind would think of it at this moment. No matter how much you change, you cannot change. No matter how much you change going forward, you cannot change what happened in the past.
Exactly. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's his thought process. It hasn't quite gotten to the point where it's like to continue moving forward, he has to forgive try to forgive himself at least. Yeah. Not there yet.
And you think she goes, admittedly, I also would like to apologize because I wouldn't be reading too much into saying that this form you see you're now is not something comfortable. I think she gestures to you and gestures Obsidian.
Yeah.
And he's back to his normal self.
He checks his hand. He does look at his hand while this is happening. He's just like, yeah, not a big fan of being wrapped in meat. I have enough weight on my bones to add flesh.
There is something I would like to ask of you.
What's that?
While the others have been, I'm sure you've noticed they've been off-put by touching the hammer.
If they all had a trip like this one, I understand why. No offense. Just...
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm not taken. My
mental suddenly being teleported somewhere else tends to mess with people.
Yeah, they have been...
Even if it's not physically teleported.
Yes, the other gods kind of borrowed my hammer for a moment, as it were, to... Even if they were not worthy of my weapons, they have paths they must travel to find the ones that will work best with them.
All right. That's good to know, at least.
I just do your best to aid them. There are many travels ahead. Apparently, 2 of my fellow goddesses decided to tell one of your friends the truth behind everything.
Hey, can't imagine that's going to go well for them.
Oh, not at all.
Truth is a heavy thing.
There is also, you should know, there is also another, there is a skeleton goddess out there that you may meet in your travels.
Well, that's interesting.
She won't...
Wasn't actually aware of them.
Oh, not many are. Admittedly, that was why my first instinct was that what I did when you first came here. They were born a skeleton goddess, but have traded up.
See,
they are a master of deals. They may actually they will be coming into the coming conflict. That is the favor that is actually the true favor I meant to ask before I got sidetracked. My apologies.
It's fine.
She deserves mercy. She is not her father. She is not Baumeister.
None are but himself.
Her name is the Gambling Queen. She may also be a great help in the trials you all have ahead. So she may even be a patron that you might to produce an artifact that may help in your endeavor to stop Baumeister with a little less. Well, I'm a bit preachy, but I'm the goddess of mercy. It comes with being that.
Still don't understand how I'm the closest one of this group, but I understand.
Well, The others, many of them, their sins were... I just feel you are the best one to wield this hammer for the same reasons that you think you are. Many of their sins have been accidental, lack of knowledge. They do not, they are good people, but they do not understand the price of, they understand mercy, but they do not understand what it's like to not think you deserve mercy. There are others out there who crimes. Your friend Gabby is one. She believes it is her fault Meister is even released.
Might know nothing about that. Don't know much about Gabby, in fact. Odd girl.
I think she smiles and says, well, my understanding is y'all are taking a trip, so it might be a good time to get to know her. She could use someone like you to keep from making the same mistakes.
See what I can do.
When she nods and then starts pounding the hammer again, and everything kind of fades, and you have lifted the hammer. You appear in the room, and you have lifted a hammer. And you see a name on it that no one else can see.
Oh?
It has in it, in fancy text, the Fool Breaker.
For a weapon of mercy, an odd name.
Right, I think the last scene is you just see Ryoko go, wait, what? Smash cut, and then that is the end of season 2, everybody.
Huzzah!
Now you know the story of the DM. You know the story of the DM and Bone Mice. You know how this whole thing started, but do you know how it will end? We'll see you in season 3. Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Welcome, listeners. I hope you enjoyed what you listened to, and if you really enjoyed it, please leave us a review on your podcast app of choice or podchaser.com. If you want, you can join our social club for one-shots available to the public. You might even find yourself a cast member over time. Special thanks goes to Comfort Noise on Twitter for providing the new intro music and outro music that you're listening to. You can also find us on Twitter at Dungeons Pop or on your favorite podcast app of choice. Thank you for listening.